Alrighty, you looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff-bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys 0-16 because they suck. They suck. That just never gets old. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there, oh, it's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Oh, I got to move the chair for my buddy Randy. All right, Randy's here. Okay, we can start. Randy's here. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. It means the world to me. Greatly appreciate it. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away. Plus also, instead of me just rambling on, for a half an hour, 45 minutes. Last night, I think it was an hour. Right? It's just nice to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free and fire away. Right before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them, so if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean the world to me, and I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way, next time I go live or I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And then finally, also in the description box below, there's 2 Facebook links. The top Facebook link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants Gridiron. It's a group. And what we got here? We just hit 5,700. Like every couple days now. Now the season's upon us here. Every couple days we're going up about 100 members. Yesterday we were over 5,600. Now we hit the 5,700 member plateau. So we're doing good. We're really doing good. I'm projecting by the end of the season I'll be well over 10,000 members in the group. Freaking awesome. Love it. But usually what happens, and I say this all the time, right? It's called the New York Giants Gridiron, right? Basically, and I say this in every video, my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, and my Facebook page, which I'll go over in just a minute. It's all called the same thing. That way I make it nice and easy for a moron like me. I dumb it down for me. It's not like, what's my channel called? What's my Facebook group page called? What's the Facebook? It's all called the same thing. Makes it nice and easy for me, right? But usually what I do is after I get done going live here, I'll spend probably like the next couple hours just putting stuff in the group and in the page, right? And I try to get at least 10 things in there every day. But now that the season's upon us, I'm getting 15, 20 things in the group every day. If I'm alive and breathing and I got internet access, right, there's stuff going in the group and the page every day. Darn near 365, right? But I said, but now that the season's upon us, I'm getting probably like 15 or 20 things in there every day. Whether it's a picture, a post, maybe sharing an article, maybe a video, something just showing some stats on a ball player, maybe something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites, right? There's a ton of stuff going in here. And not only that, if you become a member of the group, not only do I post stuff in there, but the members post stuff in here as well. So there's a bunch of stuff every day going in this group, the New York Giants Gridiron. And then the second Facebook links take you to my Facebook page, right? It's called the New York Giants Gridiron, but it's a page. I'm the administrator. I'm the only one to post anything in there, but it's the same thing. Once I get done going live here, I'll spend, next couple hours putting stuff in the group and in the page, and it's the same thing. In the off season, I try to get at least 10 things in there every day. But now that the season is upon us, there's so much stuff out there just to share, right? So I'm probably getting closer to about 20 things in the page every day. And it's the same thing, whether it's a video, a post, a picture, a maybe I'm sharing an article. Once again, something just showing some stats on a ball player. Maybe something, once again, made fun of the Eagles and the Cowboys, which are my personal favorites, right? There's a ton of stuff going in every day. And I don't commingle this stuff. So basically, the stuff that I put in a page, I don't put in a group. Whatever I put in a group, I don't put in a page. I just try to keep the stuff separate. So if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, as I said, darn near 365, right? There's a ton of stuff going in there every day, right? But as I said, everybody can't make everybody happy, right? So I got my money back. Guaranteed. If you go to the page, you like it, and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member. If you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right, all that stuff said and done, out of the way with here. Well, let's see. The Giants made some Beasley's on IR. They signed somebody to take his place. But what we want to knock off here first, the two areas of concern for the Giants that I got here versus the Cowboys. One of them is there's an article that I saw. It was a nice article. It's from AP News. Interesting. And it goes, the Giants' secondary depth will face a challenge from the Cowboys' passing game. Now, the thing is, this is the one area of concern. Okay, and then I got another one I want to add in. Well, okay, it's one on both sides of the ball. All right, the big one here on the defense, all right, is what we're not worried about. So, the linebackers are going to be fine. The edge rushers are going to be fine. The defensive side, I really think they're going to be fine. Okay. I'm not saying we're certainly going to wind up, shutting down like maybe the running game or not like that. But overall, I think we'll really, really be fine. The area of concern would be obviously the secondary, right? Especially the young guys, the young lads, right? This one here, this is by Tom Canavan from AP News. Interesting. The way rookie cornerbacks Deonte Banks and Trey Hawkins III have fit so seamlessly into the Giants' defense, veteran Adoree Jackson has found himself playing a relatively new position. New York's top coverage cornerback last season, Adoree Jackson has been playing more against the slot receiver since the training camp opened in late July. With the season opener against Dallas coming on Sunday night, Jackson may very well be paired against ABCD Lamb. Absolutely. In the nationally televised game. It's not the way many envisioned the Giants' cornerback rotation this spring. Jackson was the best defensive back on the team in 2022, and New York felt it had found a starter to play opposite him when it drafted Banks out of Maryland in the first round. But 2 days later, the Giants took Hawkins in the sixth round out of Old Dominion. It seemed like his selection to add depth to the roster, and it wasn't. Hawkins has been an impression from the start, and he has not stopped. I had seen him with the threes and the twos, but when he did it with the ones, meaning the starters, I don't want to say it rung my radar, but it was just one of those things where you knew he was about his business, Adoree Jackson said about Hawkins. Hawkins will likely play a lot this season, combined with Banks living up to expectations. It has allowed defensive coordinator Wink Martindale to experiment with Jackson in the slot. But, the one thing, you're going to expect, that, if you got Banks and Hawkins, wide, there's going to be, some growing pains. It's the same thing like we're drafting a quarterback high, right? Whatever, first 10 picks, whatever, first round, whatever, and you put him out there, right? And you make him take his lumps. There's going to be the good, there's going to be the bad, there's going to be maybe the ugly, right? There's going to be some poor decisions made by the young quarterback, not reading the defense right, dropping back the pass, throwing the ball. Oh, my goodness. What is that linebacker doing standing there picking the ball off, running it back for pick six or something? So you're going to take your lumps. Might be the same thing here. Trey Hawkins might step up. I might have a great night or whatever, but he might make that one slip up and Cooks takes him to the house or whatever, But But you hopefully if they do wind up taking their lumps, they learn from it, right? They put it behind them, they learn from it, and they move forward, and they just get better as time goes by. But we're talking a nice passing offense they're going up against here. Daboll said, "Well, try to use him the best way we can." Daboll said again, they have a very good players. Yep, that play both inside and outside with CeeDee Lamb. But they have some other skilled players that are going to be challenging. Really, their entire package. All their skill guys, from their backs to their receivers to their tight ends, all of their guys are going to have to be ready to go with the assignments that we asked them to do. This one in the first meeting between the teams last season, Lamb made a remarkable one-handed catch in the corner of the end zone against Jackson to break the 13-all tie in the fourth quarter, amount to a 23-16 victory. Jackson, who will be a free agent this upcoming season, recalls going to the bench after the play and talking to secondary coach Jerome Henderson, wondering what he could have done better. Now, of course, let's not forget, this was against Cooper Rush, right? It was one of those things where the quarterback, Cooper Rush, put it where he needed to. Jackson said Lamb stuck his left hand out and he caught it one-handed. So it was one of those things where you don't really harp too much on it. I mean, sometimes you just, you tip your cap. If the coverage can be so good, but if it's placed in the guy puts a one hand out, it's put in that one spot where you know what I mean? You tip your cap to him. It is great pass, buddy. Great throw. Is it going to happen 9 times out of 10 that way? Absolutely not, right? So, what's that? You just tip your cap to them. Right? But, I mean, with the talent that the Cowboys have, and even at tight end, they lost Schultz, but, they're not taking too much of a step back at the tight end position. So the guys they got out there are going to be, and obviously you can make all the fun in the world. I like to do it as well too. Oh, Terrence and the Jersey guys, they're in the house. What's up, guys? But I like to make fun of it too, especially with Dak. But Dak is. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to be this way forever. But Dak has had our number. Okay, Dak has had some decent games against us. He's maybe throwing some interceptions or whatever. But he usually at the end of the game, does that look right? Dallas has got the W when they're walking out. So I mean, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be fun. Hopefully now we got Simmons. Because let's not forget. I mean, at the beginning of last season, Thibodeau didn't start, and I'm not even sure Ojulari even started the first week of the season. Right? Well, hold on here. Let's see here. Once again, please forgive me. I got 32,000 tabs open. Okay, here we go. Giants defense. So when they played the Cowboys in week 3, Thibodeau played and Ojulari played. Okay, they both did, but like the first week of the season, right? But hopefully now that we'll have Simmons, Ojulari's healthy, Thibodeau's healthy. Okay, but even so, just that Thibodeau was coming off of that, the low block he wound up taking, right? So he may not have been 100%, but he played anyway. But now I'm saying, but if we got Ojulari healthy, Thibodeau healthy, we got Simmons in there, Sexy Dexy, Leo Line. Hopefully we'll be able to get some pressure. The ball hopefully have to come out quicker. Hopefully we won't be able to stand in the pocket for a long time. Okay. Which leads me up to also my next point. Okay. Is that now the problem, we have will be area of concern would be our cornerbacks. Can our young studs, and they're only going to get better from here going forward. If they have a bad game, well, they're going to learn from it. Hopefully put it behind you and move forward. Right. But also our next area of concern is our offensive line. So there's one area on defense, one area on offense, but also it leads me also to another little thing is the last season we got no sacks against the Cowboys. Let's see here. Week 3. I mean, this was just, I mean, we had no sacks and we had 2 quarterback hits. 2 on Cooper Rush, right? I mean, if you're going to, the time you need, you can just fluster somebody or whatever. Cooper's a decent backup. I'm not saying he's Joe Montana or nothing like that, but he's a decent backup. He's been with the system for a while. He's familiar with it and all. But we got to get some pressure. And even in the Thanksgiving Day game, we got no sacks. We got some hits. We got 9 quarterback hits. Kayvon got 5. Yay, Kayvon, baby. All right, cool. But we had 9 quarterback hits, but we had no sacks. So we played 2 games against them. We got no sacks. Hopefully that'll change. Okay. But also my other area of concern is that on the offensive side is that, with our offensive line. Now, they were feasting on Evan Neal last season, right? And, obviously Evan Neal in the beginning, was the beginning of his rookie season. He wasn't injured yet. We had he rolled his knee, I believe it was, whatever got rolled up on. So he was playing injured for a little spell there. But the first game, they had, we got to do something about this. They had 5 sacks. Of course, Lawrence had 3 of them. And they had 12 quarterback hits. I mean, it doesn't say how many pressures or whatever, all and everything they got, but they got 5 sacks and 12 hits. Can Evan Neal, does he take a step forward? Michael Schmitz, calling the, maybe if he's calling the protection, right? Where are they going to put, Micah Parsons at? The problem is Schmidt's going to walk up to the line of scrimmage. He's going to so-and-so's the mic. Boom. He's calling, he's got the ball, right? Here's the mic, Micah Parsons is here. Okay, we're going to slide this way, whatever. And then they snap the ball and all heck breaks loose. You think he's going to be here. Well, he goes over there. Micah Parsons comes around. You're like, what the heck is going, they're going to, Dan Quinn is, he maybe doesn't blitz like as much as Wink does, but what he does with the front 4 with the stunts and the twists and all and everything is just, spellbinding something. It's ripe to drive a rookie freaking bananas. Okay. And then of course, then the problem is that you're worrying about these guys stunting and twisting and all that stuff and everything. Okay. And then all of a sudden, if they decide to send Micah Parsons, well, where's that freaking nature coming? Where's he coming from? Right. So you got to stay. It's like I guess pretty much like a punt coverage, right? You got to stay in your lanes, right? So if you're whatever, if you got somebody, you're blocking them down, you can't block, you can't go too far down with them, pushing them this way because all of a sudden somebody's stunting around this way and he just blows right past you and he sacks Daniel Jones. So you got to stay in your lanes. You got to, I'm not exactly sure what the technical term, but it's especially now because last year Evan Neal got eaten alive, especially early on, and then we got a rookie center. At least last time we had, I believe, Feliciano was the center. So I'm not saying he's the greatest center in the world, but he did an adequate job for the Giants. But that's another area of concern. Can we control their pass rush? That's going to be that's going to be interesting. What we got? Likely that the youngsters struggle not only in this game, but eventually be a good player. Well, I mean, that's the future. But I mean, it's like, it's almost kind of like, I guess, I think it's baptism by fire, I guess, what it was. We're going up against, Buffalo early on, right? Miami. I mean, woo! Yeah, that's Tyreek Hill out there. Good luck. And Waddle, right? I said, Dallas always gives us a hard time. I said, obviously don't overlook the Cardinals, but, all right. But I don't even like saying it, but we should beat them. We should beat them. But, so, we got a lot of, we got some tough opponents coming up, big time. And of course, then let's not forget at the end of the season, health, if everybody stays healthy, which is a long season, so it may not happen. But I mean, 2 of the final 3 games are obviously against the Eagles. So, they just said take the boys minus the 3.5 point. Oh, you said take. I say take the Giants. I say take the 3. It's just, I don't even know. Is it still 3.5? It was last time. It was a day or 2 ago. It was 3.5. I just figured if the Giants are going to lose, that they lose by a point, 2 points, 3 points. If they lose by a field goal, you still cover. But then again, I haven't bet for over 25 years, and I'm not going to start now. But if I was a betting guy, I'd take the Giants. I say I'd take the 3.5 points. I said sometimes also the line changes sometimes too, like somebody gets injured or somebody's not dressing or whatever, and then it changes. But I would take the Giants in the 3 points. Yeah. No, then again, my history of picking games is not very good, so I'll leave it at that. All right, then we got, it's interesting here, okay, because we got Beasley, right? They put him on the the practice squad injured reserve, which is a little interesting, right? So the Giants have placed veteran wide receiver Cole Beasley on the practice squad injured reserve, which is, you don't usually wind up hearing that, right? And added wide receiver Cam Sims to replace him. Now that's a little interesting, little interesting here. Beasley, 34, is in his 13th NFL season. He dealt with a bruised quad early in the training camp, and it still must be bothering him. I mean, must be a heck of a bruise. And missed a significant amount of time later in camp with another leg. Oh, okay, and another leg injury. Okay, so he's been dinged up a little bit. So, and he's got to miss now at least the first 4 games, right? The injury likely factored into Beasley not making the 53. That's possible too. That's quite possible. Him maybe not making the 53-man roster. Although you don't know. You don't know. Especially because if Wan'Dale came back, right? If Shepard's healthy, right? So maybe Beasley would have made it. Maybe the 53, maybe he wouldn't have. But like the 53-man roster being placed on a practice squad injury reserve, Beasley can't be brought to the main roster for at least the first 4 games. Sims, now talking about some height. Okay. Sims, 27. 6'5", 220 pounds receiver who spent 5 seasons with the Washington Commanders. I think he's one of the few who spent time with I guess the Redskins, the Washington football team, and the Commanders. I think he was on all 3 of them. I think he initially made the team as an undrafted free agent out of Alabama, right, where he has ties with. Ding, 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 2017, Brian Daboll, right? I think it was. Sims' best season was in 2020 when he caught 32 passes for 477 yards, 14.9 yards per catch with 1 touchdown. Sims caught just 8 passes for the Commanders last season. For his career, he has 57 receptions for 804 yards. So, he's not much. It's tough to say. They didn't get a lot of use out of him in the wide receiver department. Okay, with the whoever you want to call them, the Commanders, the Washington football team, whatever. But he did touch base in 2017 when he was on Alabama with Brian Daboll, right? But also, let's see if I can pop this up here. Here we go. Okay, but. So Cam Sims, let's see. He let's see. He had 32 receptions in 2020. He started in 10 games, played all 16 games. He had 32 receptions. 15 yards of reception. Not bad. He's had 3 touchdowns in his career. 2021, he played in 14 games, started in 3, and only had 15 receptions. But he's got some height to him. But one of the things, okay, is that we'll notice here is that what they did is the same thing, okay, that the Giants did with the practice squad, right? Now, they brought in Taiwan Jones. And it's like, what? We brought in, it was 34, 35-year-old running back who hardly plays running back at all, right? Like, why do we bring a guy who's about as old as my father? Special teams, right? So, but the same thing here is, right, with Cam Sims. Special teams. Now, last season in particular, he played in 243 special team snaps. And he played on all of them, except for the field goal block and field goal teams and all that. But he played 65 snaps on kick return, 64 on kick coverage, 66 punt return, 48 punt coverage. And he graded at 53.5. Nothing super spectacular there, but once again, he's on the practice squad, right? But he's got that special teams thing going for him. 2021, he played in 147 snaps for Washington. 2020, he played in 118 snaps for Washington on special teams. 2019, he played in 63 snaps on special teams for Washington. 2018, he played on 1 snap on special teams for Washington in 2018. But, once again, but he's got some height, 6'5". But, I don't know if he'll ever be brought up at all or anything. But we'll have to wait and see. But he's 6'5" from Alabama. Once again, 2017, him and Daboll, right? A little familiarity there, but one of the reasons why with Taiwan Jones, Cam Sims, they got some special teams to them. So, as you can see, the Giants are, looks like they're, I guess, taking their special teams kind of seriously here, right? I mean, the one touchdown they gave up on the punt return, but also, the hammer has got to be a little more consistent with his punts. They got to be a little more like this and a little less of a line drive. Yeah. So, the same thing with Taiwan Jones, right? Special teams. Sims, special teams. So, if, but they're both on the practice squad, right? But they've been used primarily as special teamers. So it's interesting to see this way, like if Nick McLeod can stay healthy and if he's going to be on the special teams, can we find some gunners or a gunner? It might be why they kept Cam Brown on the team, right? Because he's not going to he just doesn't give you much as far as the defense, but he gives you on special teams. So, all right, then we got, boom. All right, then let's see here. Now, this is from Nick Falatos. This is from, yesterday I did the defense. That is the offense. Did the Giants close the talent gap, ranking the NFC East offenses position by position? And now at the end of this, it's kind of interesting because he gives you the overall score. And the Giants didn't do too bad. They didn't do bad at all. All right, so let's go with he says, start with the quarterback positions. Well, all right, he's got Daniel Jones as number 3. So he's the quarterback. Jalen Hurts, he is number 1, so the Eagles got 4 points. Dak is in second place, so the Cowboys get 3. Daniel Jones gets 2 points for the Giants because he's in third place, and the Commanders, they get 1 point. Says the steps Jalen Hurts took as a passer last season were impressive. With a big-time throw percentage of 4.1% and only 11 turnover-worthy plays, he may have won the MVP if it wasn't for the Week 15 injury that sidelined him for a couple weeks. Hurts was 7th in overall on-target percentage with an average of 8.0 yards per attempt, which ranked 5th in the league. Yes, Hurts benefited from an elite offensive. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen. Yeah, that kind of helps. Yeah. And 2 dynamic wide receivers. Yeah, that don't hurt either. Yeah. When defenses align in 2 high looks, the Eagles would run the ball well. I mean, it's just, what are you going to do, right? You want to play back, right? Right? Protect against a long, deep ball or something like that. We'll just run it. You want to start creeping up a little bit? Well, we might take the top off the defense, right? Pick your poison. What are you going to do? The Eagles would run the ball when there was 2 high safeties, and winning the mathematical advantage in the box with Hurts' incredible athletic gifts while also operating an efficient RPO attack. However, if the defense aligned in single high looks, Hurts had his choice of one-on-one matchups with both A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. Yep. Hurts' environment is a massive advantage for the 25-year-old. Still, he was able to seize that advantage to the tune of 4,459 total yards and 35 total touchdowns, with a low second half throw rate since the Eagles dominated so many matchups last season. Oh, yeah, that's true. He had 70 passes of 20 or more air yards last season. 70. Whew, that's a lot. With 60 of those throws to the wide receivers who had less than 3 yards of separation. He's also coming off a Super Bowl appearance where he performed exceptionally well. As of right now, Hurts is the number 1 quarterback in the NFC East. The margin between Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones is thin, but I have to give it to Prescott at number 2. The Dallas quarterback has struggled with injuries since he broke his leg against Giants in Week 5 of the 2020 season. He's missed a pair of games in each of the last 2 years and was hobbled through both of those seasons. Prescott averaged 7.3 yards per pass attempt with a 4.3 big-time throw rate. He had 18 turnover-worthy plays and had a career-high 15 interceptions last season. He was 13th in on-target percentage, and he only threw for 2,860 yards and 394 attempts. From a statistical standpoint, last season was rough for Prescott. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. I love what we saw from Daniel Jones last year, and the athletic element of his game cannot be understated. Similar to Hurts, with much lesser talent. The coaching staff fully understands how to leverage Jones' skills. Jones was the most bootlegged quarterback last season. Jones' ability to throw on the run, that's right, improved greatly from the 2020. Yeah, I mean, if you look some of his, when he rolls out, some of his passes, like maybe down guys on the sideline or something like that, so he makes some very nice throws. Very, very nice throws. However, he only attempted 28 passes of 20 or more yards last season, unlike Hurts, who had 70, I think it said. Whew. His average yards per attempt was 6.8. Not very good, which ranked 26th in the NFL. However, Jones was very efficient and accurate with his passes. He ranked number 1 in on-target throw percentage and consistently made the defensive pay within the scheme by making sound decisions from the line of scrimmage to about 10 yards downfield there. So, I mean, when he did throw, it wasn't very far, but that was, the way the Giants had to win the game last season, they had to try to, dink and dunk kind of the way down the field. But when you're dinking and dunking, you can't afford turnovers. You can't afford mistakes. So, and he did a very good job, only having five interceptions, which is very, very good. So, all right, so now the running back. The Giants with Saquon, they get 4 points. Eagles are in second place. They're going to have like a running back kind of by committee kind of thing. So they get 3 points. The Commanders, they get 2 points. They're in third. And the Cowboys, he's got the Cowboys with 1 point. Cowboys are in last place. Saquon secured the Giants as the number 1 team at running back in the division. Abso-freaking-lutely, brother. He's the best talent of the bunch. Abso-freaking-lutely, brother. Although Tony Pollard could push Barkley for that honor, nah. Still, Barkley and Matt Breida are a good 1-2 punch with differing skill sets and NFL track records of success. Eric Gray is upside, but must improve his pass protection. And Gary Brightwell did well in the limited work last season. On paper, the Eagles are easily second. DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. Yeah, he had 17 touchdowns against the Giants last year alone. Those four guys are an excellent quartet. If Penny stays healthy, he may have, that's if. He's had some problems with that. He may have more upside than any other back on this team, which is saying a lot since Swift's explosive nature can flip games. Penny had an insane 4.23 and 4.52 yards after contact number in the last 2 seasons. Wow. The combination of Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson ranks third in this division. I love that duo. Yep. Robinson did well against us last year. I love that duo, but it lacks the star power of Saquon Barkley and isn't a deep threat as the Eagles. So then there's Dallas. He goes, I love Pollard, and it pains me to rank the Cowboys last, but Pollard averaged 5.3 yards per attempt and had 31 runs of 10 yards or more on just 193 carries. That's freaking great. That is awesome. Let's see. He ranked third in the NFL in breakaway percentage behind James Cook and Kenneth Walker III. Pollard is a stud. My only concern is depth and his workload. He is in a small scat back. Pollard is 6 foot, 210 pounds. Still, it's unclear how much more work he'll experience this season. Deuce Vaughn, who's only 5'5", is behind Pollard, along with the 2020 undrafted free agent Rico Dowdy. Daddle. Okay. So, all right. So we got wide receiver. He's got, well, of course, it's hard to argue here. The Eagles, first place, they got 4 points. The Cowboys, hard to argue. Second place, they got 3 points. The Giants, we might have the advantage at tight end, but not here with the, not with the wide receivers, right? Giants are in third place. They get 2 points. Commanders in last place. They get 1 point. He's got the combination of A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith is easily number one in the division. Yep. Those are the two of the top 12 arguably receivers in the NFL. Yep. So, if you get Daniel Jones, two of the top 12 wide receivers in the NFL, hey, his numbers might go up. Yeah, right. But, we got some youngsters, right? We got, I'm dying to see what Hyatt can do out there. ABCD Lamb is one of the best pure talents at wide receiver, and in addition to Brandon Cooks, is going to be annoying for the rest of the NFC East. Cooks is only 29 years old, and he can threaten defenses at all 3 levels in the field. And, of course, don't forget about Michael Gallup, is another year removed from knee surgery and should operate as the X receiver for Mike McCarthy. The Giants receiver room is full of competent, versatile pass catchers who have upside. Hyatt, Campbell, Slayton, they all had an explosive element. Hodgins was a steal for the Giants last season and may lead the unit in snaps. Then you got Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson are healthy. There's no clear-cut number one wide receiver. Nope. Could be a week-to-week kind of thing. But there are plenty of trustworthy options for Daniel Jones. And in both Terry McLaurin and second-year wide receiver Jahan Dotson are underrated football players. And here I am ranking them last in the division. McLaurin is starting the season injured, which knocked Washington down below Dallas, but he should be back at some point early in the season. Curtis Samuel is a versatile weapon similar to Paris Campbell. I like their receiving corps and even deep threats like Brown, but the Giants have more options than Washington. Tight end, the Giants are first. Yeah, that's right. They get 4 points. Eagles with Goddard gets 3 points. They're second place. The Cowboys are in third place. They get 2, and the Commanders get 1 point. The Giants have a clear edge at tight end with the addition of Darren Waller. Daniel Bellinger is an excellent two-way option who can block, and Lawrence Cager also is very athletic upside as the third tight end. New York 13 personnel play action passing attack should be interesting. Yes, absolutely. Dallas Goedert has star power at tight end for the Eagles and receives a hefty chunk of the receiving pie from Hurts in a very concentrated passing attack. Jack Stahl and Grant Calcaterra, I think that's how you say it, are young players who were adequate in 12 personnel last season, but the Eagles just added Albert, I don't even know how I'm going to try to pronounce his last name, formerly of the Broncos. He's an elite athlete who was the odd man out for Sean Payton. He could be a threat up the seam for the Eagles in their 12 personnel action passing attack if he can stay healthy. Dallas is thin at tight end. And I debated the Cowboys in Washington for last place. I decided on the Cowboys for third because I really like Jake Ferguson. Yeah. When he came into the NFL out of Wisconsin, he will assume the role vacated by Dalton Schultz and should see plenty of targets if Luke Schoonmaker can stay healthy, can get healthy. That's a big plus for the athletic upside of Dallas tight end room. Peyton Hendershot had a solid season as an underrated rookie last season as well. So Washington, again, is in last. Then he's got the tackles. I'll just go over this real fast. You got the offensive tackles. Eagles first place. They get 4 points. The Giants are in second place. They get 3 points. The Cowboys tackles. The Cowboys tackles used to be a thing of beauty. Now they slid, according to Nick Filata. They're in third place. They get 2 points, and the Commanders are last place. They get 1 point. The guards, well, at least he doesn't have the Giants in last place, though. He doesn't seem to like the Commanders, though, too much. The guards, though, with Zach Martin, okay, it's kind of hard to argue. The Cowboys, first place, they get 4 points. The Eagles, second place, they get 3 points. The Giants are in third place, so they get 2 points. And the Commanders, once again, they're in last place. Center. So we got the Eagles, Jason Kelce, future Hall of Famer, as far as I'm concerned. Can't argue there. The only one thing for us is he's 35. Okay, so somewhere along the line in the next 312 years, Jason Kelce is actually going to retire, right? But so he's got the Eagles with 4 points at center. They're number one. He's got John Michael Schmitz, right? Giants are in second place. So they get 3 points. The Commanders, all right, they're in third place, so they get 2 points. And the Cowboys are actually in the last place, so they got 1 point as far as center. So, and I said the guards, right? The guards, the Giants were in third place. They get 2 points. So what he has, right, overall, now this is, here we go. This is interesting. So overall, he added up all the points. Nick Filata, very, very, very knowledgeable dude. Really good. Really, really good. Really, really well-spoken. Very, very intelligent guy. He scored all the, oh my goodness, man, he doesn't like the Commanders at all. So he has the Eagles are in first place. You can't argue with that. Grand total, they have 36 points if you add up the offense and the defense. 36 points. He's got the Giants in second place with 35 points. He's got the Cowboys in third place with 32 points. And then he's got the Commanders at 17 points. Woo! That's not saying much there. But it's hard to argue. I mean, he's got the Eagles with, first place. You can't argue with that. The salary cap destroyed the era of great special teams. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it changed a lot of stuff, the salary cap. Obviously, it's good in a way. It's also bad in a way. It is what it is. It's the game's just going to keep, as things happen and this, that, the salary cap and all, you just got to, change it as you go along. Change your philosophy, the way you're doing things. And I mean, that's why sometimes it's so important to try to move my legs without hitting my dog. That's why it's so important to hit on those guys in the later rounds of the draft. You got to have some of those guys. That way they can maybe fill a role on defense if need be. But that's why, I mean, you've seen some of these guys that they're drafting. I mean, the good physical specimens, and they could quite possibly, maybe help on special teams if need be. And I said, I mean, the Giants drafted 18 guys in the past 2 seasons, and 17 of them are on the 53. And the only one who's not is Darren Beavers, who's on the practice squad. So basically all 18 of the guys that the Giants drafted over the past 2 seasons are on the team. I mean, that's phenomenal. That's freaking phenomenal. That doesn't mean after all their contracts are up, after their 4 years are up, that we're going to re-sign them all. It doesn't mean, if one of them gets injured really bad, it doesn't mean we won't cut them or something like that. But, after 2 seasons, you drafted 18 guys in 2 seasons, and everyone basically is on the team. I mean, that's awesome. But to your point, I mean, that's why you gotta hit on some of those later round guys, because you can't pay everybody $35 million. You just, with the salary cap, you just can't do it. And then of course the one thing is because once the salary cap goes up, well, then everybody, salary cap went up. I want my salary to go up. You know what I mean? So then, of course, then one thing is like, as the salary cap goes, once if it jumps up $15 to $20 million, then all of a sudden, now you're paying a guard $20 million, $22 million. Well, that's a good guard. We're going to need that guard. So, yeah, we got $89 million. Well, let's blow them out of the water. Let's get that guard. So now let's pay so and so $20 million. Now all of a sudden the guards are getting $20 million. It just just the way it is. But that's why it's so important to have those guys at the bottom of the roster you're paying $1 million to, who can, especially give you something on special teams. So important. So important. All right. And then, all right, let's see. Then the last thing here. The Giants out to change sad place in the Cowboys rivalry. So this is Daboll and the Giants. This is from the New York Post. Oh, yeah. Can we change the way this rivalry's been going? Man, they got their work cut out for them. Let's see. It became a Cowboys week tradition. Justin Tuck, a peaceful sort despite the violence he authored on the field, slipped out of character and used the H word whenever he referred to his most despised opponent. I hate the Cowboys, he would say. Yeah. Tuck played for the Giants hasn't played since 2013, but the loathing remains. He will be in attendance Sunday night when the Giants open up on a season against the Cowboys at MetLife Stadium. And yes, the hate is still there. You don't even have to ask me about that, Tuck told the Post recently, chuckling at the memories of his annual Dallas declaration of detesting of the Cowboys. Tuck was front and center for one of the great Giants victories in the 21-17 upset. There are those in the building who forever keep that game close in their heart. That was so long ago, so far away from where the Giants now reside. Oh, absolutely. Abhorrence must be earned, and a rivalry must be cultivated with at least a semblance of balance needed to infuse both sides with ample disapproval for each other. The Giants have lost 11 of their last 12 to the Cowboys. And so hating them makes little sense, because you can hate a bully all you want, but that does not stop the bleeding from the repeated punches in the nose forced upon the underlying, whatever the heck that means. Daniel Jones and Dexter Lawrence first-round picks, it just goes to show you, the taste in some of these guys' mouths from this fire. Daniel Jones and Dexter Lawrence, first-round picks in 2019, are 1-7 against the Cowboys. Saquon Barkley arrived a year earlier and thus has more Dallas depression on his ledger and an unsightly record of 1-9 against the boys. 1-9. Jones hears it from the diehards. Yeah, absolutely, Jones said Tuesday after a practice in the steamy heat. Giants fans are passionate. There's a long history, a long tradition of those matches in the NFC East. Cowboys is certainly up there. We understand that. We haven't had success recently. We understood that, focusing on what we're doing right now. The only morsel of substance for this group came in the 2020 finale, when a 23-19 victory over the Cowboys and Andy Dalton, right, kept the Giants' slim play this one, of course, 2020, you can forget this, right? He kept the Giants' slim playoff hopes alive until later that night when Doug Peterson's Eagles went into the tank and they pulled Jalen Hurts out against Washington, attracting the ire of then head coach Joe Judge and sending the Giants to clean out their locker room. Oh, yeah. They were fairly close calls last season, right? The Giants led 13-6 at home midway through the third quarter. right? But then they gave up 17 straight points to to Cooper Rush, and they were down 23-13, and then they kicked a field goal to make it 23-16. And then the Giants led 13-7, right, at Thanksgiving at halftime, and they gave up 21 straight points, and then they were up 13-7, and for you, boom, you blink your eye, they're down 28-13. Like, what the F is going, And of course, then the Giants lost that 28-20. Sterling Shepard's been around since 2016. He's 3-11 against the Cowboys. Because in 2016, the year he came in, they beat the Cowboys twice. 20-19 was the first game of his career. That was Victor Cruz's. That was 2019. That was Victor Cruz's final touchdown reception of his career. He caught it in the first game of the season against the Cowboys. Did the salsa, put the Giants up 20-19, and then they beat the Cowboys later in the season 10-7. So Sterling Shepard, basically since 2017, he's only beaten the Cowboys once. Let's see, Sterling Shepard, the longest tenured Giant, made his NFL debut, as did Ben McAdoo. That's right, on September 11, 2016, when they beat the Cowboys. Of course, that spoiled the first NFL game for rookies Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. There you go. Shepard and the Giants swept the season series that year, but they haven't swept nothing since. So Shepard said, "My first game," he told the Post, "first touchdown of my NFL career. It was my special. My grandpa got to see that. He passed a little bit later after. It's definitely a special game and one I'll always remember. And my first W in the NFL as well. Later that year, we got another one. Since then, Shepard is 1-11 against the Cowboys. It went down from there," Shepard said with a sigh. Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, then you have to talk about the Eagles. It is nearly as brutally bad for the Giants when they tangle with the Eagles, especially after coming off the most recent. They're losing in the same team 3 times in one season. The first time franchise ever did that. And since 1925, they never lost to the same team 3 times in a season. But they did that last year against the Eagles. And, of course, the Giants have lost 12 of the last 14 to the Eagles. But that tale of woe can wait in a short-sighted and silly scheduling quirk. The Giants will not see the Eagles until week 16. And by that time, they've already played the Commanders twice, and they've already played the Cowboys twice. So that's just weird stuff. But, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, you can just go all the way back to the very first game ever. One more time for the hearing impaired. Right? 1960, right? Of course, the Cowboys got Tom Landry, our old defensive coordinator. The Cowboys, back in 1960, they played 12 games. 1961, when the Vikings came into the NFL, that's when they started the 14-game schedule. So in 1960 with the Cowboys, they just still played 12 games. The Cowboys were 0-11 and won. And who was their one tie against? The Giants. So and they went into Yankee Stadium, right? The Giants, 1958 and 59, won the division and went to the championship game, both games. So in 1960, right, the Cowboys go into Yankee Stadium and they tie the Giants. Every other game they lost all season long. So, I mean, even just at the start of the series against one another, it was, favor Dallas. Now, of course, to be fair, Tom Landry knew the Giants very, very well. So he knew the Giants put up some points against them, but he kind of knew what to do against the Giants defense. So I think it was like 31-31. I think the game wound up. It was a high-scoring game. Both teams scored in the 30s. It was 31-31. But so I mean, it was so Tom Landry had a definite advantage over because he came from the Giants. But I mean, even the first game ever, we still couldn't beat the Cowboys, and they were an expansion team. They stunk. They were 0-11 and 1, and they still tied us. It just But if you go back, I mean, you look. I mean, there's not a decade. Maybe the 80s where the Giants were favored. But I mean, you go back. I mean, my God, from 1964, basically 64, 65, 66, 67, 68. I think the Giants beat them one time. Yeah, it's just in the 70s, the Giants beat the Cowboys three times. The Giants beat the Cowboys in 1970, 1972, 1974. The rest from 1975 to 1980, let's see here. The second game in 1980, the Giants actually beat the Cowboys. But from 1975 to 79, the Cowboys won every game. Every game. I said the 80s, it kind of went back and forth a little bit. I think the Giants might have had the advantage on that a little bit because we had Lawrence Taylor. But, the Cowboys still won some games in the 80s. That's when they started going downhill, and then Jimmy Johnson took over, 1989. Right. And then they started becoming better. So maybe in the 80s, the Giants had the advantage. But other than that, you go in the 90s, I'm not counting all of these games, but the Cowboys definitely had the advantage. 91, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They won at one stretch, they won 9 out of 11 games against the Giants. And you go into the 2000s, it was kind of even. Maybe the Giants might have won maybe one extra game or so. But, my God, since 2013, basically the last 10 seasons, right, we're 4-16 against them. So since 2013 to 2022, the last 20 games, we are 4-16 against them. The Cowboys have, what's the advantage? He always showed up here. Cowboys 73, 47-2. 73, 47-2 against the Giants. I don't know if we can ever catch up against them. 73-4. So what is that? 26 game lead they got on us. It just seems like every year they just, And even when we're good, sometimes they it just seems, I don't know what it is. The Cowboys just seem to play us tough. Every now and then we blow them out, which is great. I love it. But they just seem to have our, it's, it would be so great just to beat them. So great to beat them. But, all right, well, we are one day closer, right? One day closer. But, as I said, the Giants with their offensive line, can they, that's going to be big. Can we, because I think that's also going to be pretty huge too. Because if we can give Daniel some time, because and get our guys out there, right, where they can open stuff up, we might have the advantage. Because we got speed. I don't know who's going to cover Darren Waller. God bless him. Trevon Diggs thinks he's going to stay with Hyatt. He's got another thing. I don't give a rat's rear end who Trevon Diggs thinks he is, or Stephon Gilmore. Ain't none of those guys. They're going to have somebody, have to have somebody over top. Not saying Hyatt's going to be in the game 90% of the snaps, but when he is in there, ain't nobody there going to keep up with him. And I said, I don't know who's covering Waller one-on-one, and whoever we got, Shep's fantastic, and also, if can we block and keep Daniel Jones upright long enough for him to be able to, open stuff up down there. And if once you start opening stuff up down there, and then of course it starts opening up stuff up for number 26, the guy behind Daniel Jones. And then of course, as I was saying, the other thing is that other article was talking about was, how do those the rookies do? Banks, Hawkins and Banks. How do they do? I said, they're gonna, mistakes are going to be made. We got some good receivers we're going up against. Things are going to happen. Mistakes are going to be made. Can they hold up? Can they do a decent job? Because I think it'll be very, very, very important also just at least have the Cowboys, if they do score, make a march down the field. Don't give up nothing, big time to them. Make them earn, So those are the two things on each side of the ball. If we can get our passing game going, the passing will help the running, right? Daniel Jones can run. Saquon, we haven't seen Saquon yet because he hasn't played down in the preseason. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing is because, like Paul Dottino talks about that a lot. Because I said, because you got Michael Schmitz calling this, he's calling, if he's calling the protection, which way they're sliding or whatever, you know what I mean? But then, Dan Quinn's going to have a field day, just, stunts and twists. Because they also mentioned, like, I believe Paul Dottino, they blitz, but not as much as Martindale does. But they're good at the stunts and the twists and all that. So they'll take maybe their 4 guys, and of course, maybe Micah Parsons or whatever, and they just got guys stunting and twisting all over the place. And that just, so I mean, so if you're all of a sudden like Michael Schmidt snaps the ball and he's supposed to take somebody's over on top of him and he starts blocking them, say he starts blocking them this way, right? And all of a sudden somebody stunts around over here, if he goes too far away, I mean, somebody might have a free run at Daniel Jones. So, I mean, we got to, and of course, I've seen a few times last year, Glowinski get backed up into Daniel Jones. Somebody puts him on roller skates and he's just like, then of course, let's not forget about Evan Neal. Now, I think Evan Neal will certainly be better than he was. But I mean, the first time they played him last year, I mean, they had a field day against him. So it's going to be interesting. The mismatches due to inexperience. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, look. We're dependent upon Evan Neal, right? A lot. This is his second season. We got a center, Michael Schmitz, first season. The 2 rookies out there. Something. You make a mistake there. Can cost you. So, at least the one thing is nice is that I remember Shane also said too. He said the Giants have. Now I'm not sure if this includes the practice squad or if it's the 53. I didn't count. I should have counted before I opened my mouth. But he said, I think he said we have 39 guys on the roster who are 26 years or younger. I think he said that was like the second lowest in the league or something like that. So we got a lot of young guys, which is freaking awesome. So. And also, we got, it's still a process. We don't expect really Shane to come in here the second year and Daboll and all that. And we're going to the Super Bowl, baby. It's still building, and if we're going to, get the guys, get some experience, let them get it now. Right. And, be nice and young, get the guys, get some experience and as the season goes along, it'll only help us. And then, of course, when next season rolls around, it'll be even that much better. How many wins this year? Whew. Well, that's one of those things. I could see maybe about 10, maybe 9 to 11, somewhere around there. And one of the things is that, as a lot of people say, is I kind of got to agree with them, is that we could possibly be a better team, but maybe not be so much better. Instead of like what? We were 9, 8, 9, 7, and 1. So I mean, if we maybe 10 and 7 or something, because we got a harder schedule, But we are healthy right now, which is huge. So we could be a better team, but maybe not get so much of a better record, not go from whatever 9, 7, and 1 to 12 and 5 or something like that. I'd like that, but there's just so many tough games. I mean. We got it. Let's see. Pull this up here. New York. I can spell. Giants. There we go. If you just look, I mean, it certainly doesn't mean we're going to lose all these tough games and everything. But, obviously the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Dolphins, the Bills, and you can't, rest your laurels on the Commanders. Maybe they have quarterback issue or whatever. You can't, because we tied them last year. And if it wasn't for Kayvon Thibodeau's strip sack and fumble recovery and touchdown, we lose that game. Because they got down to whatever it was, the 5-yard line or so at the end, the 1 yard, 2 yard line at the end of the game, and they had to score a touchdown. Well, if Thibodeau doesn't do that interception, they get down to a 1 yard line. They only need to kick a field goal and they win that game. You know what I mean? So you can't sleep on them. And of course, there's the Bills, the Jets, Well, the Raiders. I mean, hey, you have no idea. That's why you play the games, right? But then again, we got to play the Cowboys again, and once again, the Commanders. Don't ever rest. The Patriots. I'm not too overly. I mean, they'll have a decent team, and of course, then they have the Belichick. So don't worry about. Don't overlook that either. The Packers, with love, I'm not too crazy about them. But the Saints, Giants don't usually do well in the Superdome, but well, they got Carr, right? So then of course, then we got to play. I mean, we got the Rams. Hopefully, we should win that one because they seem like I don't think they'll be competing this year. But then of course, we got to finish 2 games up against the Eagles. So that's a lot. That's a lot of tough games. I mean, that's a lot of tough games. So we got. Do you remember a season where the expectations were so strange? Meaning strange. So strange. Reminds me of the Doors song. As far as what? As far as the wins and losses. Ow. Yeah, but I mean, because a lot of it also is like you got to look with Shermer, right? And then and of course with Judge, you want to, I don't know anybody really in their right mind with Joe Judge coming in. I think we're looking at 12-4. You know what I mean? So you had, you'd be crazy, especially with Shermer, especially when he coached with the Browns. I think he had the same identical record with the Browns as he did with the Giants in 2 seasons. So, I mean, you couldn't really, Shermer, I'll tell you what, he's taking us to the Super Bowl. I mean, so you really couldn't have very high hopes with any of those guys. And with McAdoo, I mean, the only thing with McAdoo was after 2016, we were 11-5. 2017 went to 3-13. So I mean, that one was that one, if anything, you kind of figure 11-5. You figure okay, and in 2017 we got Evan Ingram. So we had Sterling Shepard, right? We had Odell Beckham Jr., Evan Ingram, Eli Manning, right? So maybe we'll be good. So I mean, that one was a kind of a disappointment to go from 11-5 to 3-13. And it's, I mean, because then you go with Coughlin, because back when Coughlin, was coaching, I mean, because it's like you never knew, right? 2007, we lose our first 2 games of the season. We give up 80 points to the Cowboys and the Packers the first 2 games, and it's like we stink, and then all of a sudden, boom, we win the Super Bowl. So it was like with Coughlin and Eli, you never knew when the magic was going to maybe happen again, right? 2008, we were the best team in football. Plexico shoots himself in the leg, and we go down the dumper. But I said with Coughlin, it was always, it was always kind of like, even if you didn't think the team was that good, it's like, well, maybe they can pull another one out of their butt. Maybe Eli Manning could put the team on his back again, So then some of those were just obviously disappointing when the team was just so horrible. But a lot of that was due with Jerry Reese, because some of his drafts were just really, really horrible. I mean, his drafts were. He get an Odell Beckham Jr. He drafted JPP and stuff. But you look at some of those, like the later round picks and all of that, they never re-signed them. They would play 2 or 3 years or so, and they would be gone. The cupboards was just bare. The Coughlin era is a good. Yeah, I mean, it's because like you never knew. I mean, it's the same thing now. I mean, like look what Daboll did, and with Daniel Jones. I mean, they did really good last year. So so as we go along, if one of these years they say we win the Super Bowl, if they got the 2 of them together, it'd be like, well, you never know. They did it once, maybe they can do it again. It's just I mean, you're right. Like this year, it's I don't know if anybody. Well, I've heard maybe a couple people think the Giants might come in last place. Okay, if you think so. But it is a little bit weird because you can actually maybe be a better team and maybe not have a real great record or better record or a lot better record than we did last year. Because last year we played the AFC South, which is not very good, right? This year we got tough. I guess we're kind of lucky. I guess maybe the Rams aren't very good and the Cardinals aren't very good. But between the Seahawks and the 49ers and the whole AFC. The East, and then of course, now with the NFC East being good, because you go back a couple years ago, Judge's first season, we were the NFC least, because remember, what were they? I can't even freaking remember whether they were the Washington football team or they were the Redskins back then. But they got in, they were 7-9, and they won the division. So we were the NFC least, but now. Now you got, between the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Giants, you got 3 bona fide playoff teams now. Oh, yeah. They go on, you're not surprised that they have an off year. Nah. Not surprised if they have an off. Nah. Unless injuries just totally demoralize our team, deplete it. If we only win like 6 games or something, 7 games, that would be, But if we wind up like 8-9 wins or so, about the same as what we did last year. We're a better team, but our record's still about the same. Because then you figure, hopefully, give Shane, one more season, another good draft, and hopefully we should be maybe knocking on the, maybe the division, maybe winning the division, right? Cautious, that's, yep. Well, I like what Daboll says. You take it one game at a time. That's all. Don't, you start worrying too much down the road, and then you're going to lose against the Cowboys. So you just take it one game at a time. It's a long season. And, tons of things can happen. Injuries can pop up. To expect that all 4 of these teams are going to stay really, really healthy throughout the whole season. The Giants can be totally depleted by the end of the season when they play the Eagles. The Eagles could be totally depleted and the Giants can be healthy. You don't know. Just right now, it just seems nice that we're healthy and it seems like the Cowboys are healthy. I don't wish injuries on nobody. I like to have my best play your best. And if your best beats our best, you tip your cap to them. But so at least, when we Sunday night, for the most part, everybody seems to be healthy. So it could be a good way to start the season. Well, it's been 1 hour and 12 minutes. Oh, yeah. Cowboys, Giants, week 1. Oh, yeah. Gotta love it. All right. Well, we'll be back again tomorrow. Terrence, I don't think Terrence is on anymore, but Jersey guys, we'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll find something else to talk about. All right. Well, so whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. If anybody spends any time watching a replay, just once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.